Posture podcast is finally here, hitting your radio waves for you to discover what your calling is, how you're supposed to pursue it, and what did God even create you to do. I'm going to get you all the way together when it comes to what you were called to do. So, no longer sitting around saying, I wish I knew my purpose. Baby, you here, you got a purpose. And I want to help you get it together. So, welcome to Postured, the podcast. And I'm your host, Ji'Brayah Chanai. Let's get started. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Episode one, she's gonna be a little. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Episode one is definitely gonna take it for the cake. I'm a little nervous. You could probably sense it on me, but I'm pretty bold in my calling, so I'm gonna give it to you guys very authentic, giving you a lot of tea. I use a lot of slang, so if you don't know it, you may want to head to my Instagram so I can break it down for you if you're not in the millennial age range. But I want to help women like you figure this thing out. And so often do I hear girls talking about, I don't know my purpose. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Baby, you don't need to know what you're supposed to be doing. You're here. That's the purpose within itself. The issue is that people get confused when it comes to purpose versus calling. And I want to set the record straight. Your purpose is to glorify God, period. Every believer has the same purpose. Your mama, your grandmama, your auntie, and your sister. The purpose stays the same. Now, where it gets fun, that's the calling. What you're called to do, think about it like utensils. You have forks, you have knives, you have spoons. They all will help you eat, but they serve a different, they serve a different purpose. Think about a spoon. You need that to eat cereal. You're not gonna use a spoon to eat chicken, right? That's the same thing that happens with your calling. Understanding what vessel you need to use to fulfill your purpose, that's your calling. Got it kind of clear now? Your purpose, that's not something you need to go looking for. It's already inside of you. Your calling, that's the vessel you use to get closer and closer to your purpose, which is to glorify God. Now, I'm not going to be all, tight knit and churchy with you, but the Lord is the foundation of everything that we do. Now, when it comes to your calling, that's when things kind of get complicated. But I honestly think that from the age of 12 and beyond, you pretty much know what you were called to do. Think about when you were 12. If you're a millennial, it was that transition period from being outside all the time to joining the online space. You remember that? Around 10 or 11, you're outside in a cul-de-sac, riding your bike, hopscotch and jump roping with your girls. But then something happened, the internet. But not only the internet, social media. For me, that was Bebo. If you remember Bebo, give me a little reaction because Bebo was that girl, okay? And if you're a little younger, maybe your introduction to the space was Instagram. But for me, Bebo was that space where we connected with our friends after school and it became its own virtual reality. You created your page, you connected with people, and you shared photos. And oftentimes, a lot of millennials found their love for content creation on that platform. Wait, let me bring it back a few steps. Do you remember MySpace? A lot of girls that are watching, y'all were creating people's MySpace pages. Don't you remember the under construction phase? I bet you're a graphic designer now, huh? Or you probably create content. That was the start of you finding your calling. See, it's not as complicated as you think it is when it comes to your calling. It's typically the thing you found out about in your early preteens. But here's what it gets kind of messy. When we go off to middle school and high school, we start to assimilate what other people are doing and we fall off of what we were called to do. You had this thing that was kind of quirky and you were doing it, and somebody told you it was weird and lame, and you stopped. And now you spent college and even your early adulthood, if you're older, your 30s, trying to figure out what it is you're supposed to be doing. When the T is, you've been doing it all along. You just kind of let people throw you off your game, and now it's time to bring it back. Now I want to get you into my calling. What I discovered when I was not only 12, but around 6 years old. And I was like, this is who I'm going to be. And it was before Bebo. It was before MySpace. Baby, it was before Facebook and Instagram. It was this little app. Well, an application, a software, something called a CD player, if you guys remember. My grandma got me this game, right? And it was called Orally. It's this little Jamaican girl with her frog. Think about Dora and her little monkey. Orly was a Jamaican version, okay? And I would spend hours playing Orly. Orly would go on adventures and around Jamaica, creating things with her drawing pad, and they would turn into reality. So the things I would create on a sketch pad, say it was like a little monster. You draw the monster, and he comes to life, and he has his own character. He has his own plots and things to do, and it became a reality. And I found out about this at around 7 years old, and I said, "Yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna create virtual realities and make them real." Now, of course, at the time, I'm 7 years old, I didn't know this was going to be my calling. I had no idea what a calling was, but I kind of just kept at it. So I went from this early game, creating my own virtual reality, and then something better came out a few years later. You guys remember Sims? Who was a Sims girl? Because, baby, once Sims dropped, outside was not seeing me no more. I ain't ride a bike again, hopscotch, scooter, basketball, jump rope. It was over with. That virtual reality took over my entire life. So much so that me and my childhood best friend Ashley would spend 4 to 6 hours a day taking turns on Sims, creating our virtual reality, styling your Sim, creating their home. And does everybody remember that code where you got a lot of money? I think it was called Motherboard. Y'all remember the Motherboard code? If you remember Motherboard as the Sims code to make more money, drop that because I think you recall. And the girls that know, that mean you were it girl. If you didn't know how to, make a little extra money on Sims, baby, you may have not been an it girl. But here's the thing: learning how to turn your virtual reality into real life, that is how I discovered my purpose. And for a lot of ladies, that's probably where your love for digital media, marketing, and branding started, right? I don't know about you, but that's where my journey began. And it has taken me from a world since then. Child, my tongue is tied. My bad. So from Sims, creating my own reality, building houses, then Sims began to upgrade. Versions 2 and 3 came out. You were able to build communities, go to college, build families. It just became this really amazing atmosphere. And I was like, I want to live in this world. I think now the kids call it metaverse. Well, Sims was our metaverse. But that's where I kind of came into my love for storytelling. Think about what you enjoyed doing in your preteens before it became uncool. That's probably where your purpose lies. That's probably where you'll discover your calling. Now, in my situation, becoming a great storyteller started with those virtual games. For you, it could have been something else. Maybe you decided to stay outside. You were athletic, you were on the track team, and now you're a personal trainer. And your calling is to teach people how to be healthy spiritually and physically so they can serve God at the greatest capacity. That's your calling. Or maybe you are somebody who liked to watch anime and all those what we consider kind of weird things, which I don't think was weird. That was your thing growing up, and now you find yourself in the tech space creating codes. Well, guess what? You've been doing those fun things all along on the back end, and maybe you just let somebody talk you out your spot. But here at Posture, we're getting back into it, all right? It's time to answer the calling that God has over your life. Now, to recap, do you remember about the time you found your purpose? Was it seven? Was it 12? That's essentially what you're supposed to be doing in regards to your calling. And if you're watching this and you're saying, no, when I was growing up, I didn't really have a thing. I was a loner. I didn't have anything that I really liked to do other than play with Barbies, kind of. Well, there's some calling in that too. Maybe you enjoy making people feel beautiful so they can glorify God with their confidence. Maybe you're supposed to be a ladder holder, supporting people in their brands as they elevate to the top. See, we all have different vessels that we're supposed to use to not only glorify God, but to serve other people. And that can be found in your mess. The things that you struggle with is definitely there. I hear all held. No, it's not. I don't know what I thought it said. So really good. So sometimes you use your hands and it works and it gives you a little mix, and in real time you're like, all right, too much. Okay. Yeah, I feel like put it down. So that's really good. Mhm. How much time are we at? Golly. Like you can do shorter if you want. You can also slow down. Yeah, I talk really fast. You can. It's okay if you like say double say a word, mispronounce a word. It makes you feel human. Oh, I'm gonna say a lot of words wrong. I am. I'm about to start talking again, so let me know when you're ready. Oh, yeah, I say a lot of words wrong. English is not my first language. A lot of people don't know that. Now, was I born in America? Yes, but me and English we don't go together real good. And that's kind of funny the fact that I am actually a pretty strong storyteller. But when it comes to grammar, it's giving real country grammar. I don't talk like I'm from Memphis, but it got a little slang to it. I think that's the gift in your calling is that it's gonna look different for everybody else. Some people are very great speakers, they get everything grammatically correct, and that's their thing. For the rest of us, it's gonna be a little twist and turns in it. And that's a part of my journey. What about yours? There may be something that you do that's a bit quirky, but you're really good at that thing. Continue at it. Or maybe you find yourself doing this thing and no shade, no tea. But sometimes you see somebody doing something cool and you pivot your brand or business to do that exact same thing because you haven't truly identified yourself. And I think that it works until you find your groove. But oftentimes, when you try to copy what God has called somebody else to do, you end up in this kind of funk. And you may call yourself depressed, burnt out, lost, or just straight up confused. That's probably because you're trying to copy somebody else's calling. And we ain't here to do that. That's not how it goes down. See, your calling is something that's going to happen authentically. Your calling is something you'll discover by serving people. Your calling isn't going to be found trying to copy what the other girl's doing successfully because that ain't for you. And if you're already in that mix where you feel like, I saw my friend doing this, I saw a girl on Instagram doing that, and I decided to pick it up. If it doesn't feel good 6 to 12 months into doing it, that ain't your thing, baby. You got to get clear on what God called you to do so you can push the needle forward. And here's the thing, it's not all about entrepreneurship either. Your calling can be discovered in the workplace. For a lot of people, you kind of need to build your professional character inside somebody else's corporate walls before you jump off the porch. I think for me, who's still a corporate girly, being on somebody else's clock and learning how to be a superhero when it comes to just like solving problems, that makes me a key player in every room that I walk in. A lot of people kind of get caught up in the whole I got to be my own boss, I got to get out the mud, I don't want to work for nobody. But the number one way to build your professional character is to do it serving others. And if you can do it serving others and get a check, that's a double bonus. So if you're in a space where you're like, I can't really find my calling, but I think I'm gonna hop off the porch and go full time in entrepreneurship, let's take a couple steps back. Maybe you need to go get a 9 to 5, serve other people. Honestly, it's just like free training, but you're getting paid to learn some professional things, right? Then you take it from there. You can be a freelancer to begin with. You can be a hybrid entrepreneur, which is you spend your 9 to 5 hours working, and then you may take your lunch break and your empty time in between to serve clients, build up your portfolio, or browse through social media to figure out how you can best find the people that you're sent to serve. But here's the thing, there's so many avenues into finding your calling. You don't have to jump off the porch just to go into figuring it out. A lot of women work well in the workspace. So don't feel like because I have a corporate job that I'm not working in my purpose, I'm not working in my calling. It's actually far from correct. Keep working at that job, keep trying to climb up that ladder, making those connections, and eventually your paycheck will become the seed for your dream. Your paycheck will become the seed for you to develop in entrepreneurship. And that's when you become postured in what God has called you to do. Does this make you, feel like you're getting closer to the needle? If you kind of been in a dump, kind of feeling like what I'm trying to do is just not quite working, it's time for us to talk about what it means to be postured. And postured essentially is not only how you sit up, but how you stand up when you're in times of trouble. When you got let off from your job like everybody else, how did you react to that? Did your posture remain the same? Were you continually faithful to God? Or did you go into hiding, depression, and darkness because things were no longer going your way? That is what we call your posture. And your posture is going to determine how far you go in your calling and how much fruit you're going to receive from your blessings. Now, if your posture when things are going well and all good and you stand up straight and you have confidence, that's just the test. That's the warm up. It's when the struggle comes, is where God want to see how you really gonna work. In my case, I got laid off a day before my book signing party. I'm talking about they called me at 8:57 a.m. Hi, yeah, so due to budget cuts, we're gonna have to let you guys go. But we really enjoyed having you guys on the team. And I feel like you're gonna land on your feet. Well, duh, baby. Do it look like somebody's gonna land on their head? I had to go to the job a couple hours later because they wanted their equipment back 2 hours later, as if I was gonna sell it on eBay or sell it on Facebook Marketplace. And as we're in the elevator in this awkward exchange, and I'm giving her my badge and I'm giving her my laptop, she said something to me that truly made me giggle inside and spiritually. She said, "The team said you're a rock star, so I'm pretty confident that you're gonna land where you need to." And I agree with her. So as we went to my desk and she escorted me like she was security, I grabbed those things out of my desk, put them in a trash bag because I didn't come prepared, and headed down the elevator solo to close out on that next chapter. What I didn't know is that God was gonna spin the block. So after being laid off for about 4 to 5 weeks, and I only applied, I'm gonna be honest, I only applied to like 2 jobs. I had my LinkedIn light on, ready to work. And I made a post about, hey, recently got laid off from this opportunity, but I loved connecting with everybody there. Something happened like 48 hours later. God told me to turn off my open to work ribbon and delete the post. And I'm like, Lord, your girl trying to find a job. What you talking about? I hesitated for like 10 minutes. Then I went on my phone, went to the ribbon, turned off open to work, deleted the post, and went about my business, working in my calling. I put up a post on Instagram saying that I was offering unlimited coaching to anybody who wants to learn how to develop their brands. And I don't think you guys will believe the traction that I received from that. Mind you, I've been laid off at this point for about 3.5 weeks. I put up this Instagram post maybe like less than 4 times. And over that duration, I ended up with 5 new clients. That was enough to pay my rent, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Yeah, it gets real when you follow God, when you real obedient. Now on the other side, I could have said, God, I'm keeping this open to work sign on. I don't know what you got, what you talking about, and what you got going on. We're gonna turn it on. You gonna do what you need to do, God. I'm gonna do what I need to do, right? But I decided in that moment I needed to be obedient. So I submitted to what he told me to do, and I was able to onboard 6 clients in that unlimited coaching session, being able to pay my rent multiple times over. Actually making more doing that than I did with my job. But the story actually gets funnier. You guys are not gonna believe me. I was interacting with my former directors on LinkedIn, and I was like, "Thank you for the opportunity. Hopefully we cross paths sometime in the future." Blase, blase, blase. Well, one of my directors reached out and was like, "Hey, can I get your number? I want to talk to you for a couple of minutes." I said, "Cool." He called me. He said, he was shocked by the transition that happened, and if I needed anything, he had my back. But what I did not know is that he put my name in the hat for a new opportunity at the same job, the same company. I said, "Oh, I know God don't spin the block like this." Well, a week later, I got a call. "Hey, it's the team again. We have a new opportunity for you. Would you be open to interviewing tomorrow?" At this point, I've been off work for about 4 weeks, and I was enjoying waking up when I felt like it, taking my baby to school when I felt like it. So I said, "Yeah, I got some availability. Let me check my calendar." And of course, I told them, "Well, I do have one pending offer, so I'll let you know." Well, I did one interview for 20 minutes with my current manager. Oops, I fast forwarded the story. That's okay. I did a call with my manager, who was just a hiring manager at the time. And 10 minutes into the call, she was like, "Oh, okay, I like you." I said, "Okay. Do you have any additional questions?" "No, I like you. We'll be calling you to send over the offer shortly." Within 24 hours, baby, there was an offer in my email, in my inbox. Now, if you remember earlier in the story when I was being walked up the elevator to exchange my badge and my laptop, well, the lady that told me I was gonna land on my feet was the same lady that had to call me to tell me that it's a new opportunity for me. So I guess she had the plan and she just needed the platform and it came together. But it kind of all started with being obedient. Imagine if I did not turn off my open to work sign on LinkedIn like God told me to. I don't think mountains would have been able to be moved in that time. That obedience is what pushed the needle for me. And that's the same obedience that you have to have in your career, in your purpose, and in your business. When God calls you to do something, oh baby, you got to get to moving. I think oftentimes people need the elemental P, QRS, and TUV to get to get the sentence completed. But that is not how God moves. If He gives you some work to do, baby, go and do that work. If He tell you no, the door is closed, shut it. If He say turn off the lights, let it get pitch black. If He tell you to turn up, get your butt out the bed, get in that car and drive. And if you don't know where to go, he gon' guide you. You're gonna see a hiring sign open at a place that you've been begging to get in the door at. See, being obedient is gonna be way greater than any sacrifice you could possibly have, any sacrifice you could put on the table. Honestly, it's a combination of two, obedience and sacrifice. And I'll tell you guys later on about, fasting and prayer and all those things that I ain't gonna lie, I sprinkle that in the atmosphere, and I think that helped these opportunities come together. But yeah, baby, you gotta be obedient to what He calls you to do. So fast forward, I got hired for the job, and I've been on the job for a couple of weeks at this time. And they're like, so what is it that you want to do? I was currently in project management with that team, but I had just transitioned over from visual merchandising. And I was like, well, if I had it my way, I would kind of do a fusion of both. But I know that that doesn't exist at this time. Well, baby, what I didn't know was that God was working on the back end again. So I say, hey, if I had it my way, I would do both roles, but both roles didn't exist at the time. Y'all, why 2 weeks later? 2 weeks later, exactly. If I had that meeting on Wednesday, 2 Wednesdays later, the Lord left the 99 for the one. They laid off the entire team I worked for, 40 people, including the two directors that put my name in the hat for the current role I was in. Gone. The eighth floor, ghost town. Everybody that was on that team either gone or moved into a different team. It's like God made a way for me to escape before the flood came. I could not literally believe when I heard the news that the entire team that I previously sat on for over a year was gone. They no longer existed. And the crazy thing is, in my current role, I'm on the ninth floor. My previous team sits on the eighth floor. And for some reason, I could never get myself to go on the eighth floor to let everybody know that I was back. The first 3 weeks, I kind of tried to hide. And every time people saw my face, they were like, oh my gosh, you're back. I'm like, yeah. But to be laid off kind of feels like being left at the aisle by your groomsmen. So when I came back, it was like, hey, yes, me. But when it came to going on the eighth floor, I just kind of felt this pull to not go. What I didn't know was that a flood was coming and that the entire team was going to be what they call professionally reorganized. Hmm, whatever that means, the team is gone. And fast forward, and we're gonna get into it later, but fast forward, baby, I've been in a role for 8 weeks. Why are they trying to make me the visual manager? Essentially taking what I did in that last role and the other people were doing, combining it into the role that I'm currently in, and then letting me head the direction for that department. Baby, God be working. God be working real hard. But He needs you to work alongside Him too. So what I'm hoping is that this story has kind of inspired you to remain obedient in what He calls you to do. If you hear God's voice, move forward. If you don't hear God's voice, it's time for you to fast and pray so you can get some more clarity in what He has called you to do. You can't sit around waiting for another sign, another sign, another sign, another message, another message. Baby, by the time you get to waiting, the opportunity done pass by, and now you got to wait on the next bus. And if you remember, like Gucci Man said, blessings are like buses. Miss one, next 15, one coming. But why miss the first bus when you can hop on it right now? So I'm gonna leave you guys off with that little Gucci Man quote. I want to make sure that you don't miss that first bus that God got for you. And if you've already missed that bus, that's okay because in 15 minutes, another one is coming. Thank you guys for tuning into Posture, and I cannot wait to see you guys on the next episode. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Posture Pod. We are available on every streaming network, even YouTube. And you can connect with me personally at Personal Brand Barbie. Thank you for joining me today.